Hey guys, Banko here with Tech on TCG. I don't remember who it was. I'll look it up and put it in like on the screen or whatever. But someone asked us to do a Revive Q profile, and so I got Tanner and Aaron here. They kind of worked together and made one, which I trust them very well in their knowledge. Aaron is a judge, so let's get on it, guys.
Cool. Tanner, I'm Aaron. So this is the leader. Me and Tanner both love this this leader. On the front, he's pretty standard. He swings at a leader and draws a card, and then when he awakens, he's a hybrid, so he draws and untaps, which is a lot of people look at as a negative. I don't really see it that way. And then Tanner, why don't you go ahead and explain this?
So on the backside, we've got his main ability, which kind of makes him who he is. Once per turn, when one of your battle cards activate Revive, you can draw 2 cards. And that's kind of the whole purpose of the deck and why you're going to see what we run. You still get a draw 1, but what changes on the backside is that it's whenever you attack, you don't have to specify the leader like the front side. And then it just locks, basically it's the Deadly Defender ability. You choose one of your blue-green multicolor battle cards in rest mode. You basically... They can't attack your leader until they get rid of it or take care of it, and you have to activate that during main. A lot of people who play it kind of forget that, and then they pass turn. So that's just sort of my little tidbit there, because I've been playing it for a while.
Cool. So let's get into some of the battle cards. So again, remember the ability for the leader to target multicolors and make them the Deadly Defenders.
Yep.
So this is the new Dr. Wero from the expansion. He's a blocker, and then whenever he is discarded or killed by Revive skill, you can play it. So really good, and then you can use the leader ability to make him a Deadly Defender. This was kind of Tanner.
Yeah, I really like that. I'd like to get a little bit more playtesting with it, but I think it's a really good tech. It's blocker, and it can come into play for free, and it just gives you kind of another opportunity to stall out, where this deck really likes to do that, and then kind of swing on the power turns.
Yeah, and it's foil, so we have to play it.
Yeah.
Next, this is sort of like what I feel is one of the main engines in the deck.
I'd say it's the heart and soul.
Yeah, so this card is nuts. It's barrier, and then it's got revive, and then whenever it swings, it makes your opponent discard a card, which is kind of another theme with the deck is hand control. This is the one you want to target with the leader to make it the Deadly Defender, because they KO it, and then it comes back, and then you draw 2 cards. And it has barrier, so it's hard to remove for right now.
We'll see how that goes next set.
Yeah.
But right now, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And then this one is another card from the expansion. Tanner, you want to evaluate this one a little bit?
So this is basically, I would consider it basically a negate. You also get the revive off of it. It's a 2-drop. I'm still a little, I think it's a great card, but I'm curious to see how it goes in execution. Aaron, you kind of feel like you thought it was going to be good at a 4 of.
Yeah, I think this is your turn 2 play. I think this is easily your turn 2 play, because it basically just says draw 2 cards, and then it's going to slow decks down, because you can pick it with the leader, and then you can KO it to negate an attack. It comes back, and it's a Deadly Defender, and so it slows decks down to a degree, and then it draws you cards, which is really good. I think it's a 4 of. I think it's an auto include. That's my opinion. We'll find out.
That's why I brought it up, because I agreed with you after you explained it to me, so I wanted everybody else to kind of know.
This is something that I kind of stole off Brian Samuel. He took this leader to
Dallas.
Dallas.
I think it was Dallas was first. Yeah, he took it to Dallas.
Yeah. So another thing about this Goku that I really like, that why I run it at a 4 of, is because it's a 15k Goku, and so we play 4 Vegeta the Cruels. Again, more hand control. He makes you warp a card. And he's also a 15k Vegeta, and then we also run 2 at all cost. There's not a whole lot of self-awakening in here, and so this is, if they're holding you at 5 life or 6 life, this is how you can awaken. And then we run 2 of the Ultra Instincts. Me and Tanner both agree that this card is still good. I don't think this card is worth taking out of the deck. I don't think it's worth necessarily mulliganing for or holding on to. I think it's a 5k combo, which is good. But the other big thing is that it's a 20k Goku, because we at least for right now, until something else better comes along, we're still going to run Gogeta 7.
Absolutely.
So with the hand control from this allowing us to make people discard, this taking people to 3 cards, and other ways that we have in here to make people discard. This, I feel like this is still really good.
Yeah, I think it's extremely relevant. And a point to the sort of self-awakening. In the earlier editions, it was stolen from Joey Palladino and Brian Samuel. Awakening Talent Pan was included. But often I found at the ratios that they had it just didn't pop up enough for it to be relevant.
Sure.
And I think it was very
maybe
comparable.
now with a lot more draw.
Yeah, maybe, but
we'll
it's
see.
yeah.
So either way, this card's still broken.
Yeah,
We run it at a 2
that's,
yeah.
That doesn't need to be explained.
This deck is not short on bombs, and so we only need 2 of those. This was Tanner loves this card, and I agree. I think it's really good. This deck needs spot removal, and this is really good spot removal. It's also blue green, so you want to charge blue green on turn 1 every time, no matter what. And so this is
in worst case scenario, it can be your deadly defender. I mean, it's not ideal, but if that's the only one you have on board, or you have to arrive and it's there, it can work for that. And like I said, it's a great charge target when you don't need it, and you can play it defensively, arrival, and blow something up.
And it also goes into another one of our bombs. So this card is seeing a lot of traction right now because of this, I think, and a few other 5-drop Gokus. This card is just basically just says if your opponent is at 3 life, you win, which is really cool. Being able to have 2 finishers that are pretty reliable all the time at 35k, this card is really good.
And another one on this is, and it really upsets the players when it happens, but you can blow up Heartfelt Plea with it.
Yes.
And they don't really expect that. They should, but they don't.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah. So and these ratios are fine because this isn't the main win condition for the deck, and there's so many different bombs that you get there.
Before the ban and before the expansion that dropped this weekend, I ran it at a 4 and a 3 in mine, and it absolutely can be cut down to 3 and 2.
Next engine is the Piccolo engine. So with Zeno being gone, we reluctantly listened to Jimmy and cut Piccolo down to 3. I still think this card is insane.
If he sticks, it's just disgusting.
It's so good. Barrier is insane, and honestly, Bond 2 is not hard, especially with all the other barrier in the deck. So and the arrival pieces. Yeah, that's a good point. And so this card comes in and plays this one, and then the next turn he turns on, and so it's silly.
Before you pass that on the Bond, I would like to mention that you can run the Roshi negate from the draft box to give Bond if they remove your...
That's a good point too, yeah. That's something to consider for sure. Yeah.
Celeb just dropped in.
Yeah, that's Jimmy.
Jimmy Snowden.
Yeah. The greatest Dragon Ball Super card game player of all time, according to Hulk Hogan. All right. Android 21, Bad Omen. So this is this is a tech option. This is because for the baby build, if you can survive the onslaught the baby puts on and they get to 1 life, you basically just win the game. And then it's a 4-drop that's actually not terrible. Yeah. And so, I mean...
Honestly, and maybe it's not the best idea, but if I get that in my opening hand, I will keep it because it's a great charge 1.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you'd be surprised how many people look at it and they're just like, oh, blue-green.
And you just forget about it.
They just forget all about it.
This is your ideal turn 1 charge.
Yeah, I think it is, because then it just activates your 17 coming in later.
Yeah. And then so the rest of these are just some staples. Pretty easy. This is 4 beans because it's blue and you have to run 4 beans.
Yep.
And then this card really came in clutch tonight at our PPG tournament here. This card is really good. This shut me down. I was playing High to Mastery, and every time I went to play Path to Greatness, this just said you lose. So this is a really good card.
And the great part about it that is why I think it's such a better card than Preemptive Strike is that it's got the blue and the green to play it.
Yeah.
And Preemptive Strike, you were almost forced. Yeah, you were forced to go in.
And it untaps an energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really good.
You'd be surprised how clunky Preemptive was.
Yeah. And then we run 4 of the 17s just for energy. And I've
played it before.
I have played it before,
yeah.
And it can come in handy.
It's a once per game, but when it does come in, it's not
and then
nice.
Just the super combos, we run the Paragus because if you're playing green and you don't play play these, then you either A, don't have $100 to get them, or you weren't playing it when set 6 came out. But this is the ideal one.
Yeah.
And then we run 3 shocking death balls. There's enough defense in this deck
that you
really don't need to run it for. And we needed an extra spot for this. This is probably the main win condition, I would say.
I would. It
just because of how reliable it is. Being able to ramp if you absolutely need to for whatever reason, Arrival's just good.
Their Arrival's just good. And the other thing is, it's one of those situations where when you are playing it at that point, you've probably made them expend quite a bit of resources that they really don't have a lot of responses if you play it at the right time.
Right.
As far as the other negates go, like Whis' Coercion, I think just the Sparking 5 gives it this is a much better opportunity to use. I ran Whis' Coercion in the other build. We might be able to fit some in when we play with the ratios a little bit more, because I'm sure that'll be the main comment is that there's not a lot of like negates in the deck. But I think this is the right.
Well, the four Gokus and the fact that there's the blockers and you've got the deadly defenders.
You don't necessarily.
I don't think you need it. Yeah, I think this is more than enough. Especially with how fast the game is right now, you really only need to see 2 negates anyway. And so if you get the Goku and you get the blocker, I think you're probably fine. We'll work out the ratios a little bit, and we'll probably feature the deck in a couple of weeks when we've had time to work it out. But for right now, I think this is probably
I think
solid.
It's really good. And then the only thing that I would add is that we did play with the idea of the Piccolo leader, but we can kind of talk about that in another video another time.
Yep.
Because I think they kind of go hand in hand, but I really like this leader, and I'm not giving up on it because I think it just gives.
I think we're just being stubborn. But that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Tanner. And there's your Revive.
And Jimmy.
And Jimmy, because he made the comment.
Celeb shot.
Fluff isn't here right now, but Fluff, wait. Like always, like, subscribe, and if you have any comments of this deck or anything you guys want to ask us about, put it in there. We'll take care of it. We'll look at it. We'll do what we can to help out, or even words. So yeah, Fluff out.